All right, thanks, y'all. So I'm going to take you back a year ago today, April 19th, 2017. So the exact day, just 1 year ago. This is noteworthy. At exactly 365 days. Why is it noteworthy? Well, I was at the end of my rope. I was burned out. I had nothing left. I was lonely, depressed, listless, without purpose, without direction. And I decided I don't want to feel this way anymore. And I really didn't know what to do about that, except the one thing I always did when I was in the military, that was to go get drunk. So that's what I did. So I decided to do. I figured there'll be people there. I could socialize a little bit, feel a little bit better, maybe get all this stuff out of my head. So that's what I did. I went out that evening, to a bar that I frequent. Try to trip over that. To a bar I frequented quite a bit, or I did, not anymore. Met up with some people that I knew, and started drinking. And I'll say this, the night started out okay. I did feel a little bit better, as these things kind of go. But what started out good ended as anything but. I drank to excess that night, became inebriated, blacked out, can't remember a lot of what happened. I do know that I made another crappy choice that night, and that was to drive. And that was after the objections of everybody else there. Everyone told me, dude, you can't do this, you can't do this. But I'm the kind of guy who can do anything. I can do it by myself, and I don't need anybody else. So I could probably do this, right? I mean, I survived the Battle of Baghdad, Fallujah, Kandahar, all those things, so of course I could drive. I was wrong. I woke up, next thing I remember, waking up that night, the front of my vehicle smashed in. The police were there, yeah, that was that. They woke me up. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, front of my vehicle smashed in. I'm in some field somewhere, I don't know where. Somehow I drove away from the bar and ended up miles away. Thank God that I was the only casualty of that night, that I didn't hurt, or even worse, somebody else. That's really the biggest thing here. So that night and what follows is when things began to change. Now at first, things changed for the worse. Now it's bad enough to get arrested, bad enough to get charged, and an OVI is no joke, all right? Things got really scary really fast. And for me, as a law grad, I kind of know what's coming, so I know just how bad these things can get. And it became real, like really, really real. And it was scary. I mean, I'm a combat vet. There's very few things I'm scared of. You can ask anybody who knows me. I was scared. I was very scared. So, like I said, things were getting bad. But luckily, because I'm a vet, and with the help of my attorney, I was able to get into the program, into the MAVS program. MAVS, again, is the Military and Veteran Services. In our docket, they focus, especially with us, on therapy and getting those things that were always there for us, but we're just too hard-headed and too stubborn to get. Military guys and girls, we're like that, especially as combat arms guys. We don't take help. It's really hard. We have huge egos. It's hard for me to say help. It's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. But I was forced into it, so I had to swallow my pride, and I did it. Throughout the time there, I started to realize some things. You see, I joined the military on my 18th, right after my 18th birthday, right after I graduated high school. I knew two things about adulthood when I got out of high school. That was hockey. Well, I knew one thing real well, and chasing girls. I was no good at that one. I thought maybe the Army could help me with that, but that's a different story, a different TED Talk. So as time goes on, I'm in the military. I did 15 years in the Army. I was an airborne ranger, a paratrooper, mechanized infantry, pretty much the guys that jump out of either a plane, the back of a tank, or we just walk there, and then we shoot stuff. When I say shoot stuff, I mean other guys shooting back at us. So that was the job. It's direct combat, which required a lot of different things. I learned a lot of skills because of what I did, or what I had to do. I'm a land navigation expert. Now, so I know some of my friends might actually disagree with that because I can't drive at all, especially when I'm drunk, right? But no, on my feet, you can't beat me. I can do a map at night, middle of the night, with just a map and a compass, and a little red flashlight, and I could find a point 5 clicks away, over mountains, through swamps, uphill both ways, and snow. So there's that weapons. There's almost no weapon on the planet that I can't employ and engage a target with. That just comes with the training. I jumped out of planes, which is one of the most amazing things ever. It might mean I'm a little crazy because who would actually jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I did, which probably explains a lot. But there we go again. So there's more to this. So the training was good, but the lifestyle we had to lead while we were in service is what caused the problems, because it wasn't compatible with the civilian world. And what I mean is this: the military, especially the combat arms, it's based around, when you distill it down to its lowest common denominator, it's all about combat, it's all about war. And I say that because war, there's only 2 things that can happen in war. There's only 2 outcomes to every choice you make. You're alive or you're dead. That's all you need to know. And that's all you focus on when you're doing this. And because of that, our entire lives, our entire existence, our protocol was to see everything through this binary paradigm. So every choice had 2 outcomes. It was right or it was wrong. Every movement, every activity we undertook was either you're stopped doing nothing or you're going at it 100%. We used words like violence of action, cautious hurry. These were the words that were instilled into us, and it was part of that paradigm, that life of movement, that life of right and wrong, that life of only 2 ways to see things. So in the civilian world, I came out, this is what I knew. This is what I knew for 15 years. I came out, went to law school, and I treated life, civilian life, the real world, just like I still was in the military. I'd stay up, when I first got in law school, I was one of the older guys there, and I knew I wasn't as smart as all these other kids that were in school. A lot of really smart kids, but I knew one thing: I could outwork anybody. So that's what I was going to do. I'd stay up for 3-4 days at a time outlining books. I wouldn't eat for days. I would just study. My life was Adderall and caffeine. That was it. It became so bad that my friends would tell me, you're fading away, and I was. My weight would jump up, my weight would jump down, 20 pounds in a month, either up or down. And I thought it was nothing. I could handle it, handled it before. But that wasn't true. I was doing damage to myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever other kind of damage I could do, I did. I owned all of that. So this goes on for years, and it culminates a year ago, waiting for my bar results. It all came to a head that night. I had absolutely burned the candle on both ends. There was nothing left. I was a husk, a hollow man at that point. But what I've come to realize, and this wasn't on my own, this is being drug across the finish line here, was that I was only living about 10% of life. I was living on the ends of the spectrum. At 0 or 100 miles an hour is where I was at. And I had missed, there was so much more to life somewhere in the middle there. See, the ends of the spectrum here, they're known. You know what's at those ends. So it's really not that fun. There's nothing unexpected at either end. But life itself and the living of it existed somewhere, and I missed that 90% in the middle. I saw things as black and white, and that was unhappy. And what I came to realize is that happiness, however we define it, it lies somewhere in that gray, in the ambiguous parts, in the unexpected and dynamic parts of life, was somewhere in the middle. It wasn't on the end of the spectrum. Now, I, for one, I think we can all agree, or at least most of us, that life is, one of the primary things in life is trying to find happiness, however you define it. And I can't speak for everyone, but I think I can speak for a lot of the vets guys here. After years of fighting, killing, the things we've seen, the things we've done, the people we've lost along the way, what makes me, or where I see happiness, is just some peace, just some quiet. That's where my happiness is, or that's how I define it. Now, I'm not there. I don't know if you ever really are happy. But now at least, just in the last year, I think I know where it's at. And I think I know how to get there. And that's where I'm going. So, you know, everyone, if we all go through hard things, and believe me, we're no different. We're no better. It's not harder, it's just different. There are things that normal people go through that I'll never understand. I couldn't even imagine. You know? It's just, with us, it's real, it's concrete, and it's tangible. And you see it on the news. Like I said, it doesn't make us any better, any different. Do I use this as an excuse for my actions? Absolutely not. I take full responsibility for everything. Hell, I take so much responsibility. I take responsibility for things I don't even know happened. I think a lot of us vets do that. We blame ourselves for everything. So yeah, I own it. And I think I'm better because of it. But for you, the vets out there, I see a couple of you guys from court, and really for everybody, where are you living right now? Like, where in life are you at? Are you sitting on the ends right now? Are you doing nothing? Are you doing everything you can? Are you burning yourself out? I don't expect everybody to be happy, but I think that's maybe what you're looking for. So if I can give you just a little bit of advice, it's to slow down. Moderation is not for cowards. We used to be told that. It's not a real thing. Moderation may be where happiness is. I'm no expert in this, but I think I'm getting it. So that said, I just want to leave you with one last thing. So we have this mantra, and we do these crazy things in the military, but this mantra from my slogan. I learned this on a field in Georgia, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't eaten in 2-3 days. It was during Ranger School. 2-3 days. I hadn't slept more than 45 minutes in a week. And it was my turn to lead a mission. I'm like this 18-year-old kid, and maybe 150 pounds. I'm just destroyed. Like The Walking Dead, I'm like one of the zombies on there. And that's about as much as my mind was working that morning. And they could tell, the instructors could tell, so they took me aside in all my desperation, and they told me, they stepped out of character, told me, is that me or is that? Okay, that's you. They told me, look, Starnes, they always call you by your last name. Look, here's the deal. I'll make a deal. He said, I'll make a deal with you. He's like, you can quit tomorrow, right? You're going through a lot right now, but you can quit tomorrow. But today, I'll let you quit tomorrow, but today, right now, find a reason. Just find one little reason to stay here and a reason to fight. Just find a reason to fight. So, I have my reason to fight. And what I want to do is challenge you to find your own. Thank you.